Happy Friday. I am usually here with you on a Thursday, but yesterday was not going to happen. Yesterday was not going to happen. So I'm happy you are tuning in with me today, Friday. Today is usually Fun Friday in our Trauma Transformers tribe. It's going to be a fun one today. And I'm really happy I have this topic to talk about as a distraction, I think. As a distraction, because those of you who follow me know that this last week we went on a little spring break travel therapy with my boys, and I will share my top 5 lessons from my Surviving Grief series. One day next week, I'll tell you my top 5 observations. Tonight, this evening, we are talking about the Cora, OBD, and Justin Dean story and looking for relationship lessons. I find this story so intriguing. I have not been able to stop watching the videos, the blogs, the responses, the back and forth. I'm trying to figure out what has captivated me so much about this story, but I think it's for many reasons. And I'll share some of those with you. As you come in, please share the live. I want to hear your take. I want to hear your questions and read your comments on this topic. I want to know from you what you think about this. Do you think that husbands become jealous of working wives? I want to use the story of the OBD and Dean couple to also talk about how we can apply masculine and feminine energy principles more efficiently to make relationships feel better and work better. Okay, so who am I? I am Dr. Triffy. I'm a licensed psychologist in Atlanta, Georgia. I'm also a licensed professional counselor in the state, and I'm also an advanced clinical hypnotherapist. I like to say that I teach people how to think better so they can feel better and do better. My hope is that by doing that, we can create lives that feel better for us and work better for us in the long term. And part of what I've been doing very recently is focusing on teaching more about masculine energy principles. I spent a lot of time last year talking about feminine energy principles, but I did that primarily in the Trauma Transformers Tribe private group. And I think it's important. Balance is important. And here's the thing that many people forget to say when they're talking about masculine and feminine energy. We are both. We are one. So we are both. Everything in life happens on a continuum. So you, even if you are a female human being biologically, you are on a certain measure, you are masculine as well. Okay? So there are levels. We go from 0 to 100 of anything. So you might lead with more masculine energy than the next person, or more feminine energy than the next person. I also believe that because we are not really taught much about these principles, it's easy to get confused about it. It's easy, because we're confused, to just brush it aside and think it's not important. It's also easy for some people to just talk about it in ways that are maybe incomplete, and so might not necessarily be all the way helpful. So, as I talk about this story, I've got to say this. Now, as a therapist, I am trained to be objective. I'm trained not to necessarily give my own personal opinion when I'm looking at an issue. But the thing is, this is not a therapy session. This is not a therapy session. Of course, if I state anything, I will be very cautious. I'll try my best to tell you if this is my professional opinion or this is my personal take. Okay? I'm not a priest, I'm not a pastor. My job is not to say what's right, what's wrong. That's not my job. I'm a therapist by profession. So I'm not here to pass judgment. I do think my biases as an individual person might show up because I'm an immigrant. I am a mother. I'm a feminine person. I'm from the African diaspora. I might, because of my experiences, some things might be clearer for me, and some things might be kind of like a blind spot. So I can't wait to hear your thoughts as we talk about. Let's start with Cora OBD. So Cora is a lovely little, tiny little, personal opinion here, smart young lady, bright, beautiful, very sexy, very confident young lady. She's a social media influencer, whatever that means, with at least 4 million followers on Facebook alone. On Facebook alone, this young lady has 4.7 million followers. The story is that she was born into a royal Nigerian family, but that she wanted to have a different experience. And so she went to Shanghai and taught there for a while. There's a video out there. I'm not sure if that's correct or not. And as I'm talking, I hear somebody trying to get my attention at my door. But that person's going to have to wait for a little while. This is live, right? As we do all lives. So if you give me 2 minutes, let me see, just in case it's an emergency. Stay tuned for the story. So yeah, so that's what happens when you have sons. And he starts laughing. That's what happens when you have sons. So yeah, so back to Cora and Justin. Hi, Hilma. Yeah, that's what you have to look forward to, Hilma. Okay? So yeah. So back to Cora and Justin. Cora is said to be of a royal family in Nigeria, and Cora wanted a different experience. So, what does she do? She goes off to Shanghai. And while she's in Shanghai, she meets a lovely, handsome, tight abs, young doctor. He is a chiropractor, I believe, and a physiotherapist, Justin. And the two meet and cannot seem to get enough of each other. So I think Justin has about 281,000 followers himself. Yeah. So he's got 281,000 followers, and Cora has 4.7 million. Now you see them in their earlier videos, and they seem to be having a good time. He seems to be very supportive of her. He seems shy, but he's going along and he's playing and he's dancing. He's listening to her music and he's following her around. He's videotaping her. Well, let us move this story forward. I want to say they met in about 2017. In March of this year, This is April the 8th. On March the 3rd, and all of the Cora fans out there and the Justin fans out there, you keep me straight on the details. On March the 3rd, they gave birth to their second daughter. So they've got a 2-year-old, and they gave birth to their baby, a new girl, on March the 3rd, live on social media. Yes, a home birth live on social media. Yes. Move the story up a few days later. The husband goes on his Instagram account and says to the world, I am leaving Cora. I cannot take it anymore. She's being insensitive to me, and I think she's a narcissist, and I cannot take it anymore. I have got to go. March the 16th is when that happens. Now, I know you heard me say that the newborn, the birth happened live on social media on March the 3rd. So social media has gone a little off its rocker. At first, I think, like me, I followed her on and off for several years, but she's very flamboyant, very high energy, very gregarious. And for some people, it can become a bit much. She dances in little pieces of clothing, and she's an African dancer. So, of course, she knows how to, what we call in the Caribbean, wind her waist. She knows how to wind her waist, which for some people, again, can be a lot. I remember going to, when we were at Ole Miss as students, the Caribbean students would go to the dances, and people would just basically get off the floor and look at us like we had done wrong things by dancing. For us, we were dancing, but for many other people, it was like, oh my God, what are you doing? So I think there's some of that with Cora and Cora's dancing. So similar to the Will and Jada sort of a dynamic where you have some people almost split down the middle. They should leave each other. He's terrible, and she's good. She's horrible, and he's good. Well, I have some ideas about that. And I titled the video today, Do Men Get Jealous of Successful Wives? Because that's the theme I keep seeing over and over and over again as one of the observations that people are making. Yeah? Or questions that they're putting out there. Did he become jealous of her? Is she making too much money now? What is going on? Because it is such a shocker. It is such a shocker. And if you follow them, you will understand. Okay, so I have some questions myself. Should women stop working once they get married? Should women stop working once they get married? And do men really get jealous of successful wives? Ramona, you say some men do. Hi, my sister. My sister Courtney is listening, and she is very impressed by me. Thank you, Courtney. Ramona says some men do. Well, like I said, I want to hook this into the understanding of masculine and feminine energies to see if we could learn how to use these parts of ourselves more efficiently, if we stand a better chance at succeeding in our relationships. And not just succeeding, because success is relative, what does success look like? But for me, success is the relationship is working well to the point where both people are feeling good in it and they want to keep moving forward in the relationship. So we are one. We are one. Everybody, we are all varying degrees of masculinity and femininity, and we can use those parts of ourselves on purpose. A lot of it is done unconsciously, I think. When I say that, I mean we are not sure why we're doing what we're doing. But as I've mentioned on this podcast before, masculine energy traits look like uh, doing, wanting, creating, making. It's an outward moving energy. It is about conquering, accomplishing, competing for becoming better, becoming the best. It's about controlling, yes, securing, providing, preserving things. Feminine energy is the balance, is the other side of that. It's more patient. It's less outgoing. It's more receiving, more patient, more vulnerable, more vulnerable, more feelings more feelings based, very aware, and learns how to maximize its emotions. So I like to say it like this. I say when I'm in my feminine, I am paying very close attention to my feeling states because they act as a barometer for me for how I can gauge what's happening in my environment so I can say, I don't want this anymore. This right here does not feel good because I'm feeling some pain. And pain is anxiety, pain is worry, pain is rage, pain is I have a headache because this person got on my nerve, or my stomach hurts. My stomach is boiling. I don't like this feeling. Okay. Just because you are born with biologically male parts, it doesn't mean you are more masculine than somebody who was born with female parts. Again, this is energetic. This is energy. It's not biology. To make any relationship work, you need the complement. And I'm also going to say a lot of what I'm teaching is based on the work of Dr. Pat Allen. If you want to learn more, read Dr. Pat Allen's work. Just Google her name, you'll find her everywhere. So just like you have a socket and what you plug it into an adapter. Yeah. Imagine the cord like this. Imagine this is masculine, so projecting, and you're putting it into a socket. Yeah, that projectile, that receiving, that's that complementarity. And for we do better when things are in balance. But because we are human beings, and because again there's a law in the universe called the law of vibration, which suggests that everything is always in constant motion, we're not stable and static. So we're going between these states. And like I said, sometimes we're unconscious. We're not even thinking about it. But sometimes we are. And if we learn again how to use those parts of ourselves better, we will do better in relationships. Ramona says she doesn't think it's straightforward. It has to do with how we see ourselves, unresolved trauma, social conditioning, and so on. You are very correct. You're not born biologically with more masculine energy just because, again, you have a penis. And I'm saying penis because penis is a body part, okay? So some of us, when we're traumatized, we learn how to use other parts of ourselves better. We have to. So for feminine energy people, I will say this: we learn, many of us, to use our masculine, protective, controlling energy. We have to. We have to, because if we lose that male protection or male covering, say from a father, or say that gets injured in a sexual assault, where you feel so or too vulnerable, too open, you might overcompensate and show that part of yourself more. You might lean into that part of yourself more. So it's not based on biology only. It's also based on conditioning. It's based also on experience. And a lot of it traumatic experiences can do a number on us. Okay. So, okay, let's talk about some styles of marriage or styles of being in relationship. You could have a relationship where people are like, hey, we're partners, we're doing this together, we're both working and we're sharing chores, you do this, I do that, but we have a system. We're making our relationship work that way. We share. There's no, you're the boss or you're the one who has the last say. We switch these roles around. You could also have a relationship where you have what some call codependent mates, where one person gets to have all the respect and the cherishing. Hmm? Think of these relationships where, let's look at it from the woman's side, where the woman is the boss. You do what I say. I and the male partner is just very, whatever she wants, whatever she decides, that's what we're doing. Or you could swap it around and you have the female person in the relationship, or feminine. I'll say feminine because we do have same-sex couples. The feminine person in the relationship says, okay, daddy, whatever you say, you get all the respect as well as all the cherishing. The thing is, cherishing is usually associated with what the feminine gets in the relationship, and respect is what is associated with what the masculine gets in the relationship. Okay? But there's somewhere some people want all and they demand all, and partners go along with that, whether or not they want to or not. I say if it works for you and that's what you all agreed to, if you're good with that and it's not causing you pain, that's your business as a couple. I'm just saying this is a style of relationship. You also have those relationships that are based in religion. Some religions, like the Muslim religion, might show up, or Mormon, certain sects of Mormonism. Some Christian um, relationships are very like that. The husband is the only one who works outside of the home, and woman, you stay inside, and this is how we do it. The woman shall be in subjection to the man, and that's it. Again, if both people agree with that, that's their business. That's not mine. I can't say it's right or wrong. Again, I'm a therapist. I'm not a judge, or it's not my job to call their shots for them. If it works for you, it works for you. At work, when we're working, that masculine energy side of us, that is what women must lean into to succeed. You can't show up at your job and you're the director and you're waiting, you're passive. That's a feminine trait. It's great, but not great for work. You can't be silent on your job. You can't be patient and just wait. Or whenever they show up, they show up. No, we can't do that. So that's why in the workspace, we must lean into our masculine energy. That's where your boss shows up. The trouble is, in relationships, that energy does not work well, because men in our cultures have not been taught or socialized to share a lot of that power that comes with masculine energy. And that's just what it is. This is my personal opinion. Men have not been taught well or socialized well to share that. Not yet. We might be evolving into something that looks like that, but we're not there yet. And even if we might be there culturally and we're giving lip service to it, I don't know that our brains have caught up to it yet. So this is causing a lot of friction, because imagine two ram goats locking horns, because we're both coming at each other in the relationship from our masculine energy. Again, nothing is wrong with a woman having strong masculine energy. We need it. All of these, I see these random little people, well, I can't say it like that, but I see these random podcasting people and blogging people really being nasty to women who lead with their masculine energy. There's nothing wrong with that. It's not wrong to do it in your relationship either. I'm just saying you're more likely to be successful if you tap into your feminine in your relationship with a higher masculine energy person. And that is a choice. That is a choice, because from the time I leave work to the time I get home, I might just have 1 hour essentially to ramp my energy down, to scale down from being the person who's telling you, pick this up, do this, you do that, you, no, come here, do it like this, don't do it like that. If you have an hour as a woman, as a boss, as a worker, again, who must tap into your masculine energy at work, by the time you get home, you might not have had enough time essentially to come down off that high and to find your feminine balance again. I'll talk about some ways we can try to do that better in the interest of our relationships. But I mean, I remember I was doing my pre-doctoral internship in a school system. And at the same time, I was building my business. At the same time, I was cranking out papers for my doctoral degree. At the same time, I was raising 2 kids under 10. I am 100% in my masculine energy. Okay, so here I'm at a school and I'm talking to a speech therapist, and we're just talking about a kid, because at the time I had to go talk to teachers, talk to parents, talk to kids to be able to do their evaluations or to come up with an IEP and IEPs, an individualized education plan for a child who might be struggling in school. And I'm talking to the speech therapist and I'm opening my purse and some of my coins flew out. I said to her, I mean, she was in her mid-20s, like about 29 years old. And we're talking as 2 professionals. And the coins fly out of my purse. And I said, pick that up for me. I said, pick that up for me. And the words left my mouth and I could just have just disappeared. I was like, oh my goodness, like, what did I just do? Of course, I apologized, but what I had just done was unconsciously operate with her like I was completely in my masculine energy, completely in my do what I want you to do. I want you to do this now, make it happen now. So all of us are, again, I think it's a strength for a boss lady. It's a strength when we're at work, but it is totally not in our best interest at home. Not if you have a strong man, not if you have a man who is wanting to be the boss at home, and not if you have a man who you have not negotiated, okay, well, we're going to share that role. It's going to cause conflict. Okay? It's going to cause conflict. So here's another thing that happens when we're in that role. Our men at home find that we are too harsh. Courtney is on the live. I'm going to say something about Campy. Campy, once he'd say, well, not once, every now and then he'd say to me, I'm trying to talk to you, but you're being a psychologist about it. What he meant was he wanted me to be in my softer self about it. But depending on what time of day, if I hadn't had time to prepare for the conversation, trust me, I was going to be like, boom, 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 this is the answer. Because I'm in my masculine brain. I'm in my fix it, solve it, this is the answer. So a lot of men can get to that place where, hey, they want the soft you. They want the soft you, but you are in your work you. You're in your work you. And I know you know what I'm talking about. Ramona is laughing, LOL. Yeah. She says she's got a friend who is in a top profession and has a fairly traditional marriage. And she says once she gets home, she has to put that down. Literally, literally, you have to leave it outside the door. If not, you're just asking for commotion. Literally, you have to leave it outside the door. Because if you have the two energies coming at each other simultaneously, it's not going to work because there's no complementarity. If you have it opposite, it's not good either. Where if the man is coming at you leading with his feminine and you're coming at him from your feminine too, both of you are just sitting around. Well, who's going to plan the date? Where are we going? I don't know. Uh, where should we take the kids for after school? I don't know. You decide. What happens? We're stalled. Nothing's happening. Nothing's happening. And so that's why it is so important to understand what part of yourself are you leading with in the relationship. Switching slows us down too. And we know this. Ladies, we know this. You know that switching from your go, 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 go to your yes, I am here for you mode, it takes a lot of work. It slows you down. You have to find different words. Instead of saying, oh, is it possible for you to help me pick my coins up the floor from the floor? We go like, do this, pick it up for me now, essentially. Here are some ways you can switch your masculine to your feminine brain. I'll tell you that at the end. I need you to listen because you might save your relationship, or it'll start feeling better for you if you start doing these things. Okay? So let's go back to Cora and Justin. So those of you who've been watching, like Charmaine, Charmaine, I know Charmaine's been watching because when I'm reading the blogs, I see Charmaine has posted something. And it is so funny to me, the number of people I have seen just following this little couple. So there goes the husband. He's now on every person's blog. They're picking up the stuff he's saying because he's out there every day complaining. He's complaining about his wife. He's saying, oh, well, in the beginning I said she cheated on me, but no, she really didn't cheat on me. But she's insensitive and she's narcissistic. I have asked her to do these things, and we don't know what those things are, over and over and over again, but she won't listen to me. She won't listen to me. I have a feeling that they have been together too much. When I say that, I mean he's been with her too much. Everywhere she's been, he's been of late. In the beginning, it wasn't like that. He had his work. She had her teaching and her blogging and her video stuff. She pulled him into it, or he said, I'm going to come into it. I don't know their business. But they've been doing it for the past couple of years like a family, him, her, and the little girl. Now, the loyal followers will tell me, but I don't know who asked her to give up her job as a full-time teacher and take this on full-time. The thing is, though, she is completely focused on this task of becoming a social media influencer. This girl, this young lady, is working her butt off. I do mean that literally. She's she knows how to maneuver her body. Dance. She's a great dancer. Okay. How many men do you know in this culture, in this society, who are going to be okay forever with their wife, not girlfriend anymore, because they got married? Not girlfriend anymore, wearing little bits of clothing, her body's exposed often. And again, like I said, she can move her body well. Any masculine creature with some testosterone who was raised in this culture is going to become frustrated at a certain point with that. Well, let me not say any, because as a therapist, I don't deal in absolutes and always and nevers. Let's say most. Last week we had Eddie on the live, and Eddie said 80%. Let's say most men will become over time uncomfortable with it. Even if they don't start off being uncomfortable with it, other people's discomfort are going to start catching up to them. And people with their shoulds and their judgments about how a woman, number one, should be in the society, and how a wife should be in the society, and how now a mother should be in the society, are going to be in his ear. Yap, 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 yap. Why is she doing this? She's not respecting you. He might not, again, have started off with those thoughts about it. Because as far as I'm reading and hearing, he encouraged her to stop teaching and do this full time. So clearly, if that's true, he knew exactly what she was doing because she's been doing it. There's a video out there with her in 2017 and him. She's dancing up a storm in his face, or he's tapping on her deliciousness. He's laughing, he's smiling. We've seen him, if you've seen them over the years, he's using her body to demonstrate his chiropractic moves, and they're being very suggestive on the live social media available to the entire world. So he's been a part of that system. They created that system, or at least he joined that system if she was doing it alone, and he encouraged her to leave her job. Yeah, he joined the system, meaning before they married, he knew, well, this is my wife's job. This is the work my woman does. And let me tell you, she must make enough money, because the young man was on social media again. I mean, he has been on there. I'll try to help you understand that energetically in a minute. He's been on there, like I said, every day. No, he's on TV eating. He's on the social media eating like his wife eats live, and he's out there giving his story. Giving every little detail about his family life, including that his wife is a millionaire and all of these things. So how much do you think an influencer gets paid per video? I looked this up. Influencers with up to 1 million followers can get $10,000 per post, depending on the platform. And 1 million followers and up, you're getting into the territory where they can charge $100,000. Some can even get $250,000 for one post. So can you, I'm not sure. I mean, some of you have seen it. Yes, Hilma, yes, yes. And that was from Vox.com in 2018. It is now 2022. Inflation, we must account for inflation. I have a feeling this has risen, right? So this is what the family does for their work. And husband to be knew the work his wife was doing. But let me tell you, the brain it's hard to play games on the brain. It's very hard to play games on biology. You got to work very hard. And even after you work very hard, your brain is going to, let's say, recall itself at a certain point. This is not going to last. It's not going to last. So let's assume, given the popularity, like I said, she's got 4.7 million followers. And you saw what someone could get for one post with 1 million followers. She has 4.7. She is making more money, if we base it on that formula, than she and her grandchildren and her great-grandchildren know what to do with. The thing is, I wonder if the husband is also making that money, and what he feels like his role is in that situation. I heard him, it is a video of him complaining. He seems to have been doing a lot of that, like I said, complaining that his wife does not want to take his business advice. Well, if you have somehow managed to stumble upon a formula where by dancing with not much clothes, using your very beautiful body, cooking in your kitchen almost naked, brings you 4 million followers, that brings your family how many hundreds of thousands of dollars for a post, who do you need business advice from? I have a feeling that she might be rebuffing said attempts to get business advice. Whatever it is, her husband has decided this nakedness must stop. We have children now. The thing is, they had a little girl also, though, when they did the live birth on social media. The little girl was part of the process. Again, it was not a private affair. It was on social media. So, what are some of the lessons I think we might take from young Cora and young Justin? Because they are young. They are young. And all of us know, everybody knows, if you've been in a relationship, you've got to go through your hard times and circle back around and come. There are phases to a relationship that you must go through the heat. You must go through the heat. I don't care what kind of relationship it is. You've got to go through your fire. Yeah. Petra, good evening. Ramona says she's in the wrong kind of work. Wrong line of work, honey. She's going to get her bikini. Yes, Jacqueline, we are talking about Cora and Justin. And Charmaine is there. Yes. So do you all think that he got jealous? But what did he get jealous of? What did he get jealous of? And if men get jealous of their wives once their wives become successful, should women either not become successful, or should women stay single? Or what? What is the answer? What is the answer? So here's some of the things I think that might have started happening with Justin. And I feel bad for him. I feel sad for him because, again, when we're young, we don't really know who teaches us about masculine energy, feminine energy, this, that, and the other. Who teaches us about how to communicate clearly and ask for what you want and be firm and be assertive? Who encourages us to do that? In fact, many of our parents say, shut up. They tell us, do exactly what we say to do. And don't you complain about it. And if you loved me, you would do what I said to do. So we start associating these things with love, forgetting that we are complete and whole human beings with thoughts of our own, with emotions of our own, and that it is a strength as an individual to say, I see what you're doing over there. I understand you can do that over there. You have a right to do it over there. However, when you bring it over here in my space, it doesn't feel good, and therefore I don't like it. And as a result, I'm asking you to not do it in my space or to not do it at all. Can I help you not do that another time? And if you keep doing it more than 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times, I will stop accepting it. And this is what I'll do. And you have a right to keep doing what you're doing. This is not an ultimatum. A lot of people read this as an ultimatum. A lot of people will fuss at you when you assert your boundaries, and they'll tell you, you're being tough. You're trying to hurt me. You don't care about me. This is an ultimatum, and ultimatums do not work well in relationships. Well, really, is it an ultimatum if I say to you, I understand that this is how you want to do that over there, but when you do it, it feels so bad for me that I don't want it. I don't want to experience that anymore. Is it an ultimatum to tell a person that if they persist, you will walk away, or you will take a break from the relationship, or you will go look for another mate who might be more suited or fit you better? Is that an ultimatum? I don't think it's an ultimatum. I think it's about deciding what you will say yes to and what you will say no to. And I'm always going to encourage you to say no to things that hurt. Say no to things that hurt. There's normal pain in life, there are normal stresses in life. There's discomfort because you prefer to go to the beach and your person prefers to go to the movies. That's minor stuff. But if we're talking about a partner who is blatantly being disrespectful and who is continuing to be disrespectful with their words, their actions, their failure to act, what will you do? You must make a decision as to how much more of it you will take. Here's something I noticed on these blogs. Again, Cora is Nigerian, and Justin is an Oyibo. What is an Oyibo? An Oyibo is a non-blanc. What's a non-blanc? A non-blanc is a Caucasian man, right? So I'm telling you all, I feel their little story so much. I feel their little story so much. But a lot of the African women, many, seem to be saying to Cora, Cora, just go back to your husband. Just go back. Pray to God and ask God to help you and go back to your husband. It'll be okay once you go back. The thing is, she's not the one who left. So what does go back mean? Does go back mean you go, yeah, there have been some people who say beg him. Does she go back and beg him to take her back? Well, not take her back, beg him to come back home. I guess that is an option. Some people are saying just pray. Well, all of us know that prayer is wonderful and fabulous, but prayer is not magic. Like Ramona says, go back can mean losing yourself, because really, what would it mean to go beg him if he left? Because his reason, again, is because she's being insensitive to me. And she's not, I've asked her to stop doing certain things and she's decided no. Well, if those things were things that you agreed to before you all were married, it's kind of a tough thing to now ask her to do it in a different way. However, here's the other side to that. If Cora was working from her feminine, she would say yes. Okay? If Cora was operating in her feminine energy, she would say yes to his masculine request. So, back to that compromise, back to that give and take. Would it have been maybe possible for her to, let's say he was complaining about the clothing being too much. Now that she's a mother, I'll talk about that mother thing and that Madonna, there's an actual thing called the Madonna whore complex in psychology. And what that is the idea that a woman can either be one or the other. So once you become a mom, you cannot be a sexy woman anymore. There are so many men who say once their wives have kids, it takes them a while to get back to even thinking of their wife or their woman in a romantic way. Based on those societal things, thought forms is what they are. We have collectively in the consciousness about what women should be or how they should be in the world. And very often, these thought forms are not coming from the woman. They're coming from people who've decided that this is what a woman looks like. This is what a mother looks like. This is what a wife looks like. And if you're not within that box, according to enough other people, you need a scarlet letter on your forehead. Yeah? So I wonder why men put themselves in that position now of, now that my wife has my children, well, who will I go to for my physical pleasure? My neck starts to creak. Do you see what starts happening? If I can no longer look at my wife as feminine, because now she's a mother, and as appealing physically or sexually because she's a mother, and mothers don't do that. Mothers have to dress a certain way. Again, remembering that these same masculine people are visual and get turned on visually. Now you want her to not dress in the skimpy thing that you used to find alluring. What are you asking her to do? You're asking her to become this idea you have in your head about what a mother should be, what a wife should be. And I am fine with that. This is my personal thought here. I'm very fine with that if this is your agreement, this was your agreement before you asked her to marry you. But if you ask her to marry you in the throes of, in the middle of, at the height of her job where she's earning millions of dollars by being scantily clad dancing because that's her shtick. That's her shtick because people like flesh and they like music. It's worked for you guys as a family. And now you've decided, again, for whatever reason, some of the reasons, again, I think personally are because men in our cultures have been socialized and are encouraged by other people to keep their women in a certain position. So when you step out of that position of what other people think is your correct place, it's like the world falls down on you. The world drops down on you. And I saw this happen to this girl, and I couldn't believe what I was seeing and reading and hearing because, again, like I said, one of my biases is showing up. I'm a mother, and I raised 2 kids, and I remember my kid. I still feel so sad for her because I remember when my kids were at those ages, and they're 2 years apart, a little over 2 years apart. You have a newborn and a toddler, and your husband has chosen now to leave. He said he's been struggling with this since 2018, but he's chosen now to leave. The baby's born on March the 3rd, and March the whatever, 12th or whenever he leaves, he says he can't take it anymore. You couldn't take it anymore for another 6 months until the baby was eating oatmeal? Yeah, that one felt very painful, vicariously. Yeah, and I think maybe that's part of why I've taken such interest in that story, because in addition to the, if someone in the community does something that is part of the rest of the community's job, ought to be to nudge that person back into sanity, to nudge the person back into, hey, I get it, I get it, I get it, but pause. No might not be the time. No might not be the time. Can you hold off on this? I mean, you've been holding off for what, 4 years? So what's the sudden desperate urge to escape now that the newborn is here? Okay, so Ramona says, it sounds as if he's the one in his feelings. And Ramona, that is exactly what I think. I think that Cora and Justin have swapped roles energetically. When they met, Cora was, her girly self, doing her dancing, leading with her feminine. He was the doctor, the American doctor, who could, where those of us who were born from outside of the country, it's a big deal to become a US citizen, who could marry her and bring her to the United States. And that kind of flow, again, we've been trained to see that as typical. We've been trained to see that as the norm. So that flow was good and easy. He was Dr. Dean. And he, again, when you look at his body was rock hard, solid. His abs were lined up. You could see the little V line, you can see in men's abs. When you look at him today, he's got a dad bod. You know what a dad bod is? A dad bod is a daddy's body, where it's much softer. Dad's been home, wifey's been cooking, he's well fed. He's well fed. The higher she kept going, it's almost as if, again, I believe that's because he stopped focusing on his work so much and became almost like a part of the thing, of her job. And I think working with your spouse is dangerous, because remember, work is where women feel the most comfortable being our complete selves. When I tell you do this, do it now. Completely in our masculine energy. And here comes my husband, who wants to now be in my soup, telling me what to do. Like he says in the video, how I was trying to give her business advice. She doesn't want to hear that. It's her business. She doesn't want to hear it. If she wants to say yes to it, she can say yes to it. But if you're going to be like tack, 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 tack on her, no. I don't think you're going to succeed much, because I'm telling you, like, when we dig into that masculine of ours, like like a woman is unmatched when she digs into that part of herself. Those of you who were born in Dominica, you know Mamo. First female prime minister on the Western Hemisphere. Eugenia Charles. All of us know Mamo. I don't think there was a male human being in Dominica with more masculine energy than Mamo. Okay? So if you come into your wife's business, come in slowly and tread gently, because it will not go well for you. Because this is a space where we're allowed to be completely ourselves. We don't have to chuck the masculine energy on the side. So if we've got to do it at home, why do we want to do it in work? I think couples need to think very, very closely, very, very carefully about working together. The other problem with working together is day in, day out, I see you. You're telling me do this like that. Don't do this like that. That's critical. We don't like that. Feels like pain to many people. When you tell them don't do it like this and do it like that, that's very painful. And the other thing we do is, because we're so feelings based, until that feeling of frustration passes through, and I say passes through because I'm speaking for myself right now personally, until my frustration or anxiety or mad feeling, or sad feeling passes through my body and does its thing, it's going to stay there. And that's the filter through which I hear everything new you're telling me. So I can't get away from you at work, and I got to come home and I got to surrender. That's asking a lot. So this is advice for men who really want to work with their spouses. If you're going to work with your wife, my suggestion is that you completely are okay with your wife telling you, pick up my coins from the floor. Do it like that. No, I don't want it like that. This is not the place to be slanging your masculinity. Not in work, not in the workspace. It's not going to work well for you. It'll hurt. And I think women fare better in that dynamic, because you'll pay for it outside of work, because again, our body holds a record of the feelings. So we come home, and that little foot massage that we like to give you at the end of the day, who's going to give it to you? I don't, I don't think many unhappy women give foot rubs. Okay? Who's going to scratch your head just the way you like it at 10 o'clock at night? Not many angry women are going to scratch your little head just the way you like it. So you almost have to make a choice. You almost have to make a decision. Hey, if we are going to work together, we are so evolved. We are so good at this. We have such good strategies in place for when we get upset with each other or when we disagree with each other, that we know how to keep it at work. I'm just saying, for women, it's hard to keep feelings. Like, we can't just shed feelings. It's hard to just shed your feelings because we are so feelings based. It's hard to just say, oh, let it go. Why do you think on the playground, two girls, I mean, think about it. In elementary school, two boys, they get upset with each other. They fight and they let it go. Two girls fight, they're probably still not talking to each other 20 years later. 20 years later. It's not just, oh, women are just mean to other women. It's just that we're very connected to our emotions, and it's hard to separate. It's hard to let them go as well. We actually need a lot of support helping our emotions go, a lot of talking, a lot of self care, a lot of processing to let those emotions leave our bodies. So to disregard that and to think that, oh, just because me as a male human being, oh, it's easy for me to just, oh, we argue and I let it go. Just because it works that way for you doesn't mean it works that way for your woman. And that's important. And we can cause a lot of heartache. We can cause a lot of heartache in the relationship when we try to force this. I'm working together, we're working together. Yes, it's all family business. Better be really sure before you start doing that so-called family business, because that business could destroy the family. So you've got to decide on the front end, if the rubber hits the road, which one are we going to go with? Are we going to keep the business or keep the family? I have a feeling what Ramona says started coming into play. He started operating more now in his feminine energy. He's in his feelings. Right now, he is stuck in his feelings. Every day, the poor man is on social media actually begging people to talk to his wife. How can you be begging the world to go help you get your children back and things like that? And I started feeling really weird about it, because some people are not, they don't process things well. And What if you put your family in a dangerous place by making that kind of request to people who don't know them and who don't really love her or care about her, but who might just be hanging on to your words and feeling sorry for you in the moment? So, um, Jacqueline Edward says, Papa, I'll have to reveal a little flesh man. Look, do you realize that they use flesh to sell hamburgers? You'll remember that hamburger uh, ad where the girl is on the car and she's biting into a hamburger with like barely nothing on. Yes, yes, yes. Ramona also says, but men want the sexy woman as long as she's only sexy to them. And that's impossible because once your wife goes out, people are going to see her. And again, you knew the work your wife was doing. This is her shtick. Can you imagine if she started coming on social media with maxi dresses on? Do you think as many people would tune in? No, the thing is, as a married person, as a person who said yes to him, she's going to have to decide, well, am I going to do that or not? So I think she gave him an answer by continuing to dress with little bits of clothes. She was saying, no, sir, I'm going to be working. And if that is too much for you, you're going to have to leave, which is what seemed to happen. But yeah, he has gone to a place of feminine, like he found his girl. He's found his girly girl, if you ask me. He found the girly girl, the mean girl. He found the mean girl in him because he's out there saying, why is she moving into a 1-bedroom apartment? She's a millionaire. Oh, she doesn't do this and she's this, that. And I'm going to have my mom speak on my behalf because I want access to my kids. And he did the thing where, okay, again, masculine energy traits are protect, provide, preserve the family. I don't know that 9 days after the baby's born, where she's barely latched on, that's the time to walk away. I don't know how much of preserving that is and protecting that is and providing for that is, because now the mother had to go find a new place to be because, I suppose, one income might not have been enough to hold whatever space they were in, or maybe she wanted something different. I don't know how providing and protecting it is to be on social media lambasting your wife. Yeah. So I feel very sad I feel his sadness. I feel sad for him. I can understand that he feels sad, but I think we all have to take responsibility. Cora has to take responsibility for the fact that she might have seen in him, before they married, his displeasure at her wearing not so much clothes. And she might have decided to say yes anyway when he offered her a ring. You got to take everything that comes with that. He has a right to change his mind. And the encouragement here is to renegotiate, but you need two people to negotiate to satisfaction. If you only have one person who's like, okay, we're going to ease up on the bathing suits for breakfast. We're going to ease up on that, and we're going to wear a long dress right now. She needs to agree too. So yeah, it sounds as if this is basically the relationship seems like it devolved into where however they started off, if she started off, Dr. Dean, Dr. Dean, Dr. Dean, you're the hero. And now she's become the hero. She's the one who's gone on the TV shows, and she's the one who's got the album, and everybody's liking. If you got 4 million followers, almost 5 million, every day you're getting many likes. And if that's coming just for her, that attention, if a spouse is not busy doing their own work, it can hit you in some places where you are vulnerable. And I think that happened to him. And he went back into a sort of a childlike state. He regressed into a childlike state. And when we go back to those places under stress, we're not doing our best. We're not feeling our best. We're not making the best choices. And it is very clear to me that, yeah, he is hurting and he's hurting bad. The other observation is that sometimes when we're fighting, because we haven't learned how to fight fair, that's another lesson, how to fight fair. Because we haven't learned how to fight fair, we go nuclear. We're just trying to obliterate the other person, forgetting that we still love the other person. Do you think because they're fighting, they don't love each other? I think they're just making love to each other by fighting. And sometimes we can do that. Sometimes we can use our words. Yeah, I want to slash this person so bad. Yeah. Yes, I feel so like a dragon, and the dragon's breath is like, you die, die, die. You know? But I strongly believe they still have strong passion and strong chemistry for each other. If not, they wouldn't be doing so much. He especially wouldn't be doing so much. So Ramona and Jacqueline have decided they'll do a double in the swimsuit issue. Jermaine Martin says he just wanted to make an excuse to see another woman. Okay, so something that can happen when a man's masculinity, when a man feels his masculinity has been challenged, is, again, this is stressful. So what do we do when we are stressed out, when we're under stress? If we haven't learned how to manage our stress properly, okay, talk about it with her. If it's a thing where you can't work it out, find a therapist, find a third party. And if that doesn't work, find a third party, find a lawyer, and do your business as people do their business. Legally handle it, as opposed to just like in the streets where you're flogging your wife and your family, by extension, in the streets, in a way that your family will never ever live it down, because it's almost like he's like, I'm burning this house down and I'm never looking back. The thing is, there's nowhere to escape to, because everybody's on social media, everybody's here. And sometimes, again, when we feel under that much pressure, what do? There's the freeze response. Some of us don't do anything. We just, oh my God, my spouse won't listen to me. They don't love me. They're not treating me the way I want them to treat me. We freeze and we don't do anything. Remember what I said, an appropriate response would be find a therapist, find an attorney. What else do? We faint, or we fawn, where we just keep, well, whatever you say goes, even though we're hurting inside. Or we fight, or we escape. Flight. I think personal. Yeah, this is personal now. I agree with German. I agree with German. German says he just wanted to make an excuse to see another woman. Listen, it can become so painful for many men. I think for anybody really, that might be an outlet. That might be a place where we're like, well, at least I get what I deem to be masculine respect there. I get adoration there. She's over there getting all the adoration. I need some. And their languages of love. Some of us need those words of affirmation. But if we might not always know how to ask for it. Some of us don't always know how to ask for it in a proper way. And so if we're not getting it, we act out. Like the child in us acts out. Some people's love language is acts of service, where, okay, you might scratch their head, you might do for them, you might bring them a little O. Henry or Snickers bar, whatever it is. Or you might wash their feet, or, give them that little foot rub. Okay. But some of us, when we feel as if we're not getting that, we act out. We act out like kids. But again, I prefer to look at it as a brain response. As a brain response. And it's in a category of flight, fight, freeze, faint, or fawn. Okay? So it is very likely that he wanted to feel good, because again, I think he's in his feelings completely. A man in his feelings will cheat. A man who is not thinking about right and wrong anymore, which are masculine traits of stoicism. I'm going to do what's right. I'm going to protect, preserve my family regardless of what's happening until we make it through this patch. He will go into his feelings and he'll cheat. He'll use drugs to numb out his feelings, drink too much. Okay, so Ramona says, so having rescued her, she's now no longer dependent on him. He's no longer the rescuer. Absolutely. Having in his mind, because, I think people in the so-called first world think if you're not in Europe or America or Canada or Australia, that you're not doing well. That's not true. I mean, this girl had her graduate degree she graduated from college in Nigeria, went off on her own, her young self, free self. I'm going to explore the world. I'm going to live my life, do what I want to do. Again, she is said to have been born into a royal family, meaning, look, I grew up in a village. I know the families in the village who you have a certain last name, you get a lot of respect and you get a lot of honor. You get a lot of, the doors open for you in wherever it is you are. So I don't think she was wanting for, she wanted more. She wanted a different experience. So she goes out and creates that for herself because, again, they met there. And when they met, she was already doing what she was doing. So she was already carving out her life. Here's another question. Are we saying that for all of the people I hear who are like, oh, she better just beg him and go back? Are we saying that if you're doing what you're doing, whatever the job is, again, I'm not here to cast judgment. It's not my role to say, oh, she should not be doing whatever as a wife, mother, woman, whatever. That's not my business. Everybody has a right to do what they want to do. She has every right to create the life she wants. And he has a right to come in, look at her, assess her, evaluate her as a potential wife, and say, I want her and who she is. We make a mistake when we say, oh, I'll have her and I will change her 2 years down the road when she has my kids. That's not fair. That's not fair. That is not fair. That is not fair. So the idea of rescuing the immigrant or rescuing the person who comes from another country because they grew up with less material goods is ridiculous. Just so ridiculous. And it speaks to a misunderstanding of how the rest of the world lives. I say often, and many of us, we say that, like, it's a sacrifice to leave your home and come to another country, You're the one sacrificing, but really, I think many of us immigrant people, we sacrifice because we have these weird ideas about experiencing more and, doing different things. They're just some people's brain. It's the same for like the Peace Corps worker who leaves Ohio and comes to Portsmouth to teach me physics. Yeah. Mr. Munson and Mr. Grimner from Mauritius, who came and taught us French. He wanted a different experience. And everybody has a right to that. I have relatives who will never leave Dominica. They will never leave. Why? They don't want to leave because Who wants to leave paradise? Who wants to leave a place where you wake up every day and it's beautiful and you walk on the beach, like you just sit, you drink your little rum and cook when you're ready? Look, so it's the idea that you're rescuing a person because they were not born in the US, Canada, the UK, Australia. Please, people, please revisit that idea, because yes, we want to come to the US, but many of us, it's because we want a different experience, not because we think life begins and ends somewhere else, because the longing we have for our homes is very deep. It's very deep. And here's the other thing: you come here, many of us, you come to university. What's happening at that stage of life? At that stage of life, you're meeting people and marrying and having kids. So you just happen to be there. You fall in love. You stay. You stay. Okay. So German says maybe he is that kind of man who thought he could always get a young woman because he's a sports doctor. You just never know. A lot of people buy into the idea of doctor. There are many kinds of doctor. I tell people, look, I'm a doctor. I'm a psychologist doctor. When I say I heal broken hearts, I don't mean like I'm a cardiologist. Cardiologist money and psychologist money is different. Psychologists get paid well, but cardiologist money, who's doing 2-3 surgeries a day, has different kind of money. So depending on the kind of doctor, chiropractic doctors, that's your job to go do the research on what they make. But for a lot of people, the name doctor carries a lot of But if you stop doing your work as a real doctor, separate from your spouse, that's not good. That's not good. You will lose yourself. You will become too involved. In the Caribbean, they say you'll be too involved in women's business, and it's not good for the masculine energy side of a man. It's going to take a dip. It's going to take a dip. Yeah, the lines are blurred. Hilma says she started dressing in dresses these days, and you know what? If that's I actually, well, again, that's me. That's my preference, right? I like that. I think dresses help us tap into that girly feminine side of us. They do. They just do. I'm not sure why she's doing it, but it helps me feel girly and feminine. Jacqueline says maybe he was really at his wit's end. I do believe he was at his wit's end. And that the ability to communicate clearly with love and respect. Because even if you're disagreeing with your wife, here's the thing. I tell women often, if you got to complain to your man, make an appointment. Don't just come vomit it on the person. That's not fair, because everybody has a right to their own thoughts. They might be thinking about a game or about a movie or whatever. It's the same thing for husbands and men. Don't just come with your criticism. Don't just come telling us what to do. No, we're complete human beings. Ask us if no feels good, like a good time to talk about business. Poor little Cora. I mean, you see them, they were in a hammock, I think, the three of them with the toddler, talking about the business in a conversation where she refers to him. She says, if only you all know how long we've been arguing. We've been arguing for like 2 hours, she says. 2 hours of arguing. No, again, when you see arguing, what energy is that? Masculine, masculine. And why are they in their masculine, masculine? He's trying to tell her what to do with her business. She's the business creator and has her own vision for her business. She's probably like, nah, no, and some mates don't want to give up. They don't take the hint. They don't want to listen, because again, if you believe I'm the masculine, she's supposed to listen to me. How is she supposed to listen to you when it's her business? And it is her business because she started the business. If she pulled you in, no, you're a partner. But except if she gave you the right to be the boss in the business, you really have to listen to the boss. She's the boss and she says, I don't like that idea. You got to go along with it, just like you would go along with it in any other job. But that's where it gets confusing when we try to do business as a couple. If man over here, male person over here, is used to being masculine, I'm the boss of the family, wants to be boss over here in woman's business, I'm telling you, man, it's not going to work. Ladies, think twice before you do it, especially if it's an established business already. It's going to cause a lot of headache because you've got to navigate those dynamics. And when you're that young, it's not that easy. Maybe when you're an older couple, it's easier because men become more, like easygoing. They've lived their life. It's easier for a man when he's older to let a woman do what she wants to do, without getting in her way. But younger men have more trouble with that, and that's the truth. If I'm lying, you let me know. If older men, if you agree with me that younger men have more trouble allowing women to do what they want to do and be themselves, be who they are, without trying to get in the way, you tell me. If I'm lying, I'm dying. Yeah. What you call it? Ramona says she no longer needs him in the same way. Very true. She no longer, her needs have changed. But again, communication. And again, if the communication breaks down, therapy. So we have these childhood wounds that can get exacerbated or pressed on in relationship. Let me tell you, if she no longer needs me the same way, and one of his needs was to have a woman who needed him, big problem. If he's not able to identify the problem in himself, first off, in order to communicate with her so she knows, and also in order for him to ask her for what he would prefer, trouble, because as human beings, law of vibration, nothing rests. Everything is in constant motion. We're either growing higher or we're growing lower. We're either growing higher or we're going lower. So we never freeze, cannot freeze. So there she is, she's stretching. Her viewership went from whatever, when she met him in 2017, to now it's 2022. She's almost at 5 million people following her. Of course, she's got to move different and be different. But we have to talk about it. We have to talk about it. And they're not weird for not being able to talk about it well. Because a lot of us in regular little relationships, we have our issues. What we do, we find somebody who's been trained to deal with that so that we can save our family. We can save our love for each other before we just blow it up. Jacqueline says, will we talk about Will and Jada next time? Would love to hear your take on this. I can do that. Ramona says, you can't die now. We have work to do. That's right. Delete. That thought about if I'm lying, I'm dying. Now I'm dying. I'm living. Aaliyah says, I feel that home birth affected him. Ooh, whoa. That's, oh, you're a midwife. He doesn't see her the same. He didn't see her the same from men. Okay. There are many, back in the day, you remember in the old days, they wouldn't let the men come into the room. I don't know if that's a positive or a negative for every couple for the men to come into the room. because there are some men who perhaps have not who are not able to communicate enough to work through their feelings, to through those big feelings that women have been experiencing for millennia. And again, as a woman, you don't see yourself. You feel it and you experience it, but you're not the one who, there you are, the masculine person who's supposed to protect your wife. Yeah. What a helpless feeling it must be, I think, for a man to watch his wife give birth. And he's doing it in the most public way. I mean, I'm not sure why he said yes to that, but maybe he didn't say yes to that. I don't know. But many men say they look at their wives differently. They put, no, you bring the Madonna, because birthing is a holy, sacred experience. She's this sacred being that just brought my life, my DNA forward into the next generation. I continue through my children. My DNA is not going to die with me. But I also shared that, oh my God, did I make a mistake? Like, I wonder what his internal chatter is. Did I make a mistake by sharing that with the world? Because if you saw Cora give birth, again, this one of my biases shows up as a mother who's had kids. Like, oh my goodness, if you watch that video, which is available on Facebook, because that's what we do these days. And again, as a couple, they have every right to make that choice, to have the birth live. But she's in such pain. And it is so like this guttural, the moans. You feel it. If you don't feel it, you've lost your feeling. Okay. And I can only imagine what it was like for him with all of his chiropractic, whatever, the chiropractic belly holding. I don't know that was doing anything for the baby that night. All he could do was be a spouse and touch her and whatever else, because, babies do their own thing. And there was a midwife, or there might have been two midwives there. So I wonder what impact that had on his brain. What impact that had on him. I wonder if he was traumatized by that. I wonder if he felt so helpless. This is a psychologist in me, right? I wonder if he felt so helpless that he was like, no, we're having this hyper response of protection. I don't want you to do it like that anymore. I want you to now. You just had her on live TV, well, not TV, but social media. Just had her on social media birthing a baby, and a week later you're complaining that she's dressed with little bits of clothes. Yeah, it doesn't seem, the response is also so big that it suggests to me that it touched somewhere very deep inside of him for him to be doing all of this. It feels to me like he feels like he's lost control. He's lost control because he's been on there crying and talking about his mom being who he's going to call. And my mom was there, like a kid, like a child almost. Again, really, it feels to me like he's regressed into a place that feels like trauma. My mom is going to say to the legal people that they were there, they heard, they saw what she did. And she said she regrets that she married me. The thing is, though, she didn't say that she regretted she married him. She regretted that she had June, is what he said, which is the 2-year-old. That's not what she said. She said she regretted that she had the baby with him, which is probably a legitimate regret, because if I had had the baby with a different person who could accept and hold my job, because this is what I'm doing, my job, who could manage my job without being so hurt by it, then I would not be going through this pain. And so, when we're hurt, sometimes we like to take what we keep peace. When we're fighting with our spouse, we hear only what we want to hear sometimes. Oh, you said you don't love me anymore. You said you don't want to be with me. No. And I said, you don't want the baby. No, she said she wishes she had not had the baby with you because you wouldn't be fighting. How many of you do this where you just say stuff because you're hurt or you're upset, or in the moment you're trying to hurt your partner back? I don't know that I would put too much stock in that. Mandisa Ducre says, I would actually like to hear her take on that issue too. Yes. Okay, Mandisa. And Ramona says, Mrs. Grimner used to wear some sexy clothes. She sure did. She sure did. Y'all, Mrs. Grimner and Mr. Grimner, fabulous teachers in French. I remember Mr. Grimner. I love Mr. Grimner so much. His guitar. Yeah. Mrs. Grimner was she loved her dresses. She sure loved her dresses. And Ramona says she started wearing more dresses. I when I want to feel my feminine self, yeah, I love wearing dresses. That's one of those ways. I think it helps us. It's kind of like it reminds our brain, it's okay to woosah, soften up. Mm. Um, Jacqueline Edwards says, Dr. Wallace, tell Ramona behave and pay attention in class. Stop throwing missiles across the classroom. It's just like that's what she's making, the little paper notes, Jacqueline, and she's going pow and distracting you. Mandisa says, I so agree with you, honey. So yeah. So, well, what are some of the things you can do as a woman who's got to work? And look, when we work so that I don't know many men who are so wealthy that we don't need to work. I think many of us would say yes to that if we could make it happen like that. Yeah, I'm saying that because I feel a little frustrated when I hear young men talk without maybe necessarily thinking about the whole story about if she's a successful woman, she needs to admit and agree that she's going to be single. Well, I mean, I do think a lot of successful women would prefer to be single than to be married to people who are not going to appreciate the work they do and appreciate them and appreciate who they are as a complete human being versus a role that they play. I mean, it's just a thing. Being a wife is one other role that a woman plays. Being a mother is a separate role. Being a provider is also another role that women play. And just because they're female and earning an income doesn't mean they're not providers as well. They're providing for the family as well. You have two incomes. Look, we get to go on vacations. We get to go to Venice. Okay? We get to pay for karate for the kids. So except if young men who are complaining about successful women have every intention of providing so well that their women do not need to work outside of the house, I suggest they stop because it really doesn't sound very illumined. It sounds a little uninformed. It's not. I'm going to stop there. Okay, ladies, how do you switch from masculine work brain into I got to go home and soften up for this already masculine energy person that's on masculine 10? I might be at a masculine energy level 8. They're on 10. They're walking around on 10. So how do I reconnect with my feminine energy if I'm not wearing a dress or a skirt? Okay. I'd say stop by the lake. Stop by a lake. Take a little walk. Stop somewhere where you can get on a swing set. Stop at the mall. Go to the perfume counter. Yeah. What's your favorite scent in there? Your favorite fragrance? Call your girlfriend or girlfriends on the way to biatch about the nonsense that happened at work today. Call your mama. Stop for 10 minutes and watch the sunset. Those are things you can actually do to help yourself kind of slow down. Slow down. That 10 minutes could save you an argument because Everybody knows, all of us in these female bodies who have to juggle, because it's juggling and code switching. Code switching is a term used to describe how African American people navigate being in America, where you are one thing within the group, but you are something else when you're outside in the entire group. So you might use certain words in the group, but when you go to work, you're like, you use your Stanford voice. Yeah, you use your Stanford voice, but you use your Compton voice in the group and your language, your lingo. So it's almost like that, because at work, you've got to be something else. You've got to be the other part of yourself. And at home, you're coming in and you, like Ramona said, you're leaving your masculine ways. Leave them bad ways. They're not bad. I'm just playing. Outside the door. They're not bad. Except if you have an agreement with your person that we share this role. You don't take offense when I'm a certain way. You actually like me like this. You accept me as I am. If you have a person who has more challenges with that based on upbringing or based on just personality or whatever, just talk, communicate, and create agreements and styles, ways of being with each other that work for you, for both of you, for both of you. But you have to communicate those things. For men, look, if we're doing it in a way you don't want us to do it, please talk about it in a way where you're not exacerbating the situation. I think many men, just because they've learned that, I'm the man in this joint, or I want it a certain way and it must be a certain way. I hear you that you want it a certain way, but if you come and you ask your woman for it in a certain way, she's more likely to give it to you without much drama. So ask her for a time when she's feeling good to talk about something that's upsetting to you. You don't like the tone of voice she used, whatever. Ask her for time. Don't just launch into telling her, hey, I don't do this anymore. I don't. Stop. Everybody is a human being. We all have brains. Give us time to rest. Give her time to breathe. Get her, put her purse down. Take a shower. Take a bath. You might even want her to cook. You can't start with this talking before she's even gotten her brains right. The food will be salty tonight. And that food rub might be a month in the making. And that month, there might be 3 periods in that month. And that month, the migraines will come back. You understand what I'm saying? So, in the same way that I say, hey, if you're feminine energy, you gotta, don't just disrespect people's time. Ask, hey, is now a good time for us to talk about this thing that I've had on my heart for so long? It's the same way, men, you got to do a better job asking us if we cool to talk right now, because very often we're not. And especially if what you come into us with is something that you know is not going to feel good, please let us be in a space. Even with our kids, we've got to do that. Ask your kid, is now a good time? Hey, can we talk about something that your teacher called me about in school? When is a good time? You want to finish playing your game and we'll do it in an hour? Something like that, because they're human beings too. The result, which is what we're going for, is better communication. So if asking for that person's time or their level of comfort is going to increase the likelihood that we have a positive outcome on the back end, like, why not do it? It might take an hour longer, but the result is what you're going for versus the I am the boss and this is what we're going to do and now we're going to do it. Okay, you might get off on that, and But like I said, you'll be the one with the salty food tonight, and you'll be the one without the foot rub for a month. Okay? What you gonna do about that? Here's another thing. That's a good place to watch your tone of voice. When we're upset, I get it. We're more likely to be agitated. Men's voices can go up higher without them even realizing it, I think. But I think men have to remember, men, masculine energy people in the relationship, many of your partners have been traumatized by stronger people with loud voices. Many of your mates, the people you love, have been already traumatized by strong people with loud voices. So, the reason we're very sensitive to your tone of voice might be hooked into past traumatic events for us. So, try to watch the way you're communicating. You don't have to be angry if you're communicating something you don't like. You don't like something, you prefer it in a different way. Okay, you don't have to be upset about it. But I think sometimes people just come to us and they just want to talk about whatever they're upset about without warning us. And that automatically puts our brain on defensive. That's how it is for most human beings. So if you know that on the front end, try to do it in a way, again, where you're more likely to be successful. If you really want your woman to not do a thing like that, ask her for some time when she's in the mood to talk. And let her let you know. If it's not today, if it's something that's not an emergency, you can always put it off till tomorrow or 2 hours from now or this weekend. All of that is good because life is so short. Like, it really doesn't need to feel horrible. And communicating can feel horrible when we're not taking care of each other. If you've got to walk away in the middle of a fight, again, because you're raising your voice, you're getting agitated, you're becoming what psychologists say is flooded with emotion, or you're going back to a state. Look, this is reminding me of something somebody said to me back when, and you're bringing the full force of that to your person. Walk away, take a break and walk away. But when you walk away, let the person know you'll be back. Don't just walk away. Again, many of us have been traumatized by the people who were supposed to protect us and provide for us and take care of us, just walking away and not showing up until 2 years later with gifts in their hands and money, talking about they're our dads. Many of the masculine energy people, or the people who are supposed to be masculine energy in our lives, were brutal people who cussed our parents out, our mothers out, and cussed us out, and were too hard with the spankings. And they walked off, or they divorced our mothers and they went off and married other people and created new families. And they would only call us on the phone on our birthdays. Do you understand? So when you leave, again, there are times when you need a timeout, when you need a break, so it doesn't escalate. Yes, just say it with words. Okay, this is more than I want to say right now. I don't want to keep talking in this state of mind. I am going to take a break. I'll be back by bedtime. I'll be back around 10 o'clock. I'll be gone for 2 hours. That way, your woman is not in the house wondering, did you leave? The other reason is you build trust and consistency and dependability, because even if you're mad at her, she knows she can depend on you to come back. She knows that she can depend on you to let her know what you're thinking and what you want, but that you're going to come back. That you're going to come back. I think a lot of us, when we're mad, we just storm off, slam the door, and we're gone. I mean, who is that helping? Okay, So it makes me know that you're very angry. Okay, and are you not planning to come back ever again? And what should my response be after you've done this? Just tell me this, clearly say, this is too much. I don't want to keep talking about this. I'm going to go take a break. I will be back before bedtime, before prayer time. Hopefully you have prayer time. Okay, so I actually created a course for the ladies on how to use your feminine energy. I call it a secret, but it's really not a secret because it's nature, and some people seem to do it effortlessly, but some of us didn't learn how to, or we do some of it and we don't really know the rest, or it's kind of hit or miss. You can learn more on my website, okay? drtriffy.com, www.drtriffy.com. I think relationships, when they're working well, can feel like heaven on earth, but when they're not, it can feel like hell on earth. So it's worth putting in the time to keep adjusting, readjusting, fine-tuning, learning how to do it better. Hopefully with each relationship, you learn skills, you learn more about yourself, you learn more about human beings in general, and you keep sharpening. James, good night. Good night. Spread the word for the brothers. Spread the word for the brothers. So back to Justin and Cora. I think maybe COVID done them in because maybe they were together for too much time. And when you're together like that, they say familiarity breeds contempt. Absence makes the heart grow fonder, yes, but too much of anything is good for nothing. And when you're working together so much, you barely have time to miss the other person. And that's not always good. The other thing is, if you decide to work together, it's a lot of work to keep the masculine, feminine energy dynamics working well. So you better be sure of your relationship. You better be sure that you have great communication skills. And you better be sure that you have a plan before, where you say, if it all looks like it's going to fall apart, we're choosing the family first. I prefer couples that you have your thing, I have my thing. That's my time, especially for today's woman. Today's woman, what have we seen? We have seen women go out and work. So again, a lot of us might prefer it if we had spouses who worked to the point where we did not have to work. A lot of us might, but that's not the reality. So it is what it is. Today's woman, for all the people out there just lambasting modern women as if that's a sin, modern women have had to go to work. Modern women have had to join their spouses to make enough money for the family to raise the kids. Okay? So understand that modern women, because we are complete human beings, very smart, smarter intellectually than many men, we want to shine. We have a right to shine. And we have a right to relationships too, because if you took out all the so-called modern women, I mean, who would men be having babies with? I don't know. So it's not just, oh, modern women or unsuccessful women, or it's not automatic. Sometimes if you learn, if you, the man who's interested in a relationship that feels good, if you would take the time to learn how to communicate clearer and more efficiently to today's modern women, you getting the best of all of the worlds, because you're getting a smart woman who you're not going to get bored with and then go dip out on her anyway, because while many men say we want I'm more submissive women. Why do you still dip out on the submissive woman? What is she doing wrong by being home, taking care of your kids and rubbing your feet and giving you the back rubs and pouring out your bath water for you? What is the problem then? So I don't know that that's the problem. Yeah. It is what it is. Today's woman is modern and she wants to do what she wants to do. She has every right to it. I would just encourage said modern woman to be a boss at work, but negotiate with your spouse to find your best fit. Your best fit might not be a high masculine energy man. You might find many men who are okay with you taking the lead. But if your person is one who prefers taking the lead, learn how to de-escalate your masculine energy, essentially. De-escalate, ramp it down, reset, do a reset before you come into the relationship space. Or else you're going to have problems. And that's just it. Okay? And that's where you're going to need me. You're going to need a lawyer. So I like money, but I think I prefer people to be happy than their money. So I want to thank you all who showed up tonight. Again, I'm Dr. Triffi. I'm a psychologist in Atlanta, Georgia. My website is www.drtriffi.com. Dr. Triffi is DRTRIPHI.com. Go there and see how I can support you. I'm not doing any individual therapy work right now because I am taking care of myself. I am restoring my feminine energy balance. Yeah, feminine, masculine energy balance. You need to do that when you're dealing with a lot of stress. You need a big influx of self-care, and therapy is at my top of the list of self-care. Okay. So I'm not doing any individual therapy work right now, but I am continuing to train hypnotherapists to use the skill of hypnotherapy, and I am offering group workshops for women only right now who want to recalibrate negative thoughts, negative beliefs, negative schemas and systems you've been using that are not working for you and that are born out of traumatic experiences, so that you can create a life that feels good for you long term. Okay? And you can also find information on how to make relationships feel better using your feminine energy on my website. So I'll see you all next week, Lord willing and life willing. And again, thank you for joining me. You are welcome, Ramona. Sleep well. Peace.